Hey guys, hope you're having a great day today. My name is Daniel, and in today's video, we're gonna be talking about our fuel prices that we've been paying and how things have been going up. We're gonna be talking about our pay and how that has also been going up. And then we're gonna be kind of combining things and talking through what that really looks like for our bottom line at the end of the day. So stay tuned, we'll go ahead and get right into it. So let's talk about fuel prices to begin with before we move any further. Fuel prices have kind of just skyrocketed. Everybody knows it, everybody sees it. Really within a matter of a couple days, maybe a couple weeks even, things have just gone through the roof. Before all of these, I think multiple different reasons why fuel prices have gone through the roof. There's definitely more than one reason. I think there's a lot of different factors that play into it. That's not what this video is about, but for us, for our bottom line, fuel prices have gone through the roof. There's no question if that's a thing or not. It's not 5 cents, it's not 10 cents, it's literal dollars above what it used to be. From what I remember, it kind of seems like a blur at this point. From the just craziness that it's kind of been. But from what I remember, the fuel discounts that we were getting with the Data card over at Synergy, where I at least go, before all this started, it was high $2 range, low $3 range, maybe at the worst case, maybe $3.50, possibly around there, somewhere in that range. So high twos, low to maybe mid-range threes, depending on where you're at and the discount that we could get with the Data card. That's kind of the range that we were in. So from there all the way up to $5, maybe $6 in certain parts of the country, maybe even more. Let me know down in the comments below, what's the highest price of diesel you've seen out on the road, with your discount or maybe without the discount, whatever that is. Let me know down in the comments below. But we've seen just dramatic, almost doubling the price in fuel. And my first thought is, well, if you don't know your numbers, this is going to scare you. It's going to be very concerning. You are going to be just maybe in a panic, because you're thinking all of my money is going away. How much it's no longer profitable. And my question to the person who maybe says that is, did you know your numbers before? And then did you know your numbers after the fuel increase has gone up, even with your fuel discounts that you might have? How much did it go up? 5%, 10%, 50%? What's going on for you from your gross total of pay minus your fuel? What is that fuel percentage? So I did some research, some digging into my own financial numbers as far as my fuel cost and the fuel percentage, because now we have to then factor in the second thing, which is the pay increases. Over at Synergy, and I believe pretty much every other RV transport company, the fuel pay, the fuel surcharge has been increased significantly. That definitely now plays a factor after the fact that the prices have gone up, because now seemingly, or maybe you do know, maybe you don't know, your actual pay has gone up significantly, but does that match where it was before? If you don't know your numbers, you're just kind of guessing. You think it's you're getting more money, but are you really? Because you're paying more money out the door for your fuel. So I'm going to share some of those numbers with you a little later on in the video. But from the pay standpoint, from what I've seen around the industry, we had already had a 40-cent incentive pay increase several months ago, I think over a year now. And so for non-CDL single pull guys, and I'm just going to go by that off the baseline, the pay at Synergy, and I'm assuming a lot of other places, was around $1.60, $1.70. Seemingly shortly within the last couple of months, we'd seen up to $1.70 for non-CDL single pole. And at Synergy, we get paid differently within the region. So the more northern region, I guess, of the country, the upper half, that was the higher pay technically. So $1.70, that's where I usually go to, was kind of the normal before all this stuff kind of happened. And so getting paid $1.60 and then $1.70 per mile, per loaded mile, was kind of the norm before this happened. So starting from there, we're now seeing pay rates of over at Synergy $1.89 up to $2.05 for single pole non-CDL loads. So I'm going to go ahead and get into all the numbers that Synergy's kind of at with pay rates now. This is definitely time sensitive, so if you're watching this video way in the future, this may not be applicable. So don't get wild in the comments because things might have changed since since now. So basically, from $1.89 up to I believe $2.05 for single pole non-CDL loads, which means haul and tow multiples, CDL loads, hot or old loads are going to be higher than those general numbers as a baseline. So from $1.60, $1.70 up to almost $1.90, well, a decent bit over $2 is now the increase for the fuel surcharge that the manufacturers have given us as drivers. My understanding is every 90 days, I don't know if it's a 90-day a rolling 90 days, or if it's every quarter, they go off the national average and they decide to raise the fuel surcharge or lower the fuel surcharge for paying us drivers. Depending on your company, maybe they're taking a piece of the pie. I don't have a whole lot to say about that, but I simply don't know. But maybe your company is taking a piece of that extra surcharge. Maybe they're not. That's maybe why certain companies are getting higher increases than other companies. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to say about that. But what I do know is that all of us did see this level of increase, or maybe even more for the higher pay. Certainly haul and tow, CDL loads, hot or old, multiples, you name it, all those prices have gone up. So with that in mind, we know the fuel prices have gone up. We know our pay has gone up, but what do the numbers really look like? So I wanted to share with you 4 percentages that I've kind of cataloged from last year and up to this last month in March, and kind of share with you and kind of walk through this with you to try to get a baseline, to get a picture of what this looks like. Because if we don't know what we're getting paid and how much we're paying out for fuel, and knowing that percentage, have things gotten worse or have things gotten better? Are they the same? Should people have maybe left the industry because they think, well, my pay just went down the toilet. I'm not making any money. Those statements are pretty wild, pretty dangerous, pretty aggressive. Especially for when people don't know their numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and walk through these percentages with you, and hopefully this can maybe give some clarity, and maybe this will challenge you. Go through your numbers. If you're able to access this through Comdata or the EFS card or whatever fuel that you purchase through, check your numbers. See if you can find out. See what your percentages are, instead of just blindly guessing, well, I think I'm losing money, or I'm not making as much money as I used to. So I'll start with my 2021 average percentage for fuel. So that simply means my gross pay subtracting what my fuel cost was. So what is that percentage? I wanted to do the whole year to see an average, and then kind of work my way forward from last year till now. So for 2021, my fuel percentage was 27.3%. So on average, my total year, for every dollar that I was given gross, 27 cents, 27.30 essentially was going towards my fuel. So that's immediately right out the door. We're a hair under 30%. I know a lot of people maybe don't look at it that way. Maybe they do. But on average, when I look at a load, I look at how many miles it is, what the pay rate is. I multiply that, the total number that I get. If I want to find out exactly how much I'm probably going to be bringing home simply after fuel, so not maintenance account, not all these other factors that are different for literally everybody else besides me, my numbers are different than yours. So my truck payment, insurance, everything else. So just minusing fuel, my average take home was roughly 72.7%. So just the opposite of the 27.3. So if I said that right. Percentage for last year was 27.3. So as I kind of zoom into the last quarter, which means before I was looking at the entire year, all 12 months, the percentage was 27.3. Now it's a little higher at 30.7 for October, November, December. So I can kind of see, okay, the trend, the last quarter at least, was a little higher, roughly 3%. And then I kind of skipped January because I wanted to get into the last couple months where a lot of this action, a lot of the price changes and things have gone on. I wanted to compare what the normal was for last year, 2021, to 2022 now. So things really started happening in 2022 in February. And for me personally, my fuel percentage after gross minus my fuel percentage cost was 44.1%. So that's how much it cost to operate as far as the fuel is concerned. So again, my annual last year was 27.3. My last quarter was slightly higher at 30.7. And then February, where things have just kind of gone crazy, I am now looking at a roughly 15%-ish increase in fuel. That means 15% more, not in my pocket. So whatever your numbers are that you usually gross, minus another 15% of that right out of the paycheck. That's kind of what happened to me. Moving forward, the last number that I've got for you in March, I was trying to be a little bit more diligent in March, trying to be a little bit more strategic with the best fuel price, filling up as much as I can until I can get to the next spot where I'll find the next cheapest price for diesel. And I always seemingly do that, but I really tried to be very intentional because I wanted to see, am I really just going to take this on the chin, basically 15% higher, a hair over 44%. How bad is this going to get? At least, seemingly right now, like, is it 44% because I was just a fool and I just didn't shop around the best I could? What was really going on? And in the middle of all this, that's kind of the time frame in February and at the beginning of March where our pay rates kind of went up. So the bleeding was kind of really, really rushing out of our pocketbooks in the midst of our fuel pay hadn't gone up. The fuel surcharge had not gone up yet. Meanwhile, the prices had gone up significantly. So is there a way to stop the bleeding? How bad is it going to be when the pay rate matches, or seemingly they say, when the pay rate matches my fuel cost? So in March, I did the best I possibly could. In 2022, March, my fuel percentage was 39.5. So we went from 44.1 to 39.5. So almost 5% of a swing down, which I'm very grateful for. I really did the best I possibly could. That is my fuel percentage cost from February to March. And seemingly that's the best I absolutely could do. And the prices have pretty much been the same in the March time frame, yes, it had gone up maybe a little bit. But for me, if the 5% did drop down because of the pay rate, because I was maybe a little bit more intentional with this, I do think that I could shave a little bit more off of that fuel consumption, price, the actual percentage. So what does this mean? What does this actually mean for us as RV transporters? Are we still making the same amount of money? Seemingly from the percentages, the pay rates and maybe as fuel prices maybe kind of stabilize, maybe we can get a little bit closer to the original percentages. Remember, all of last year was 27.3. The last quarter was about 30.7. And now we're talking right around 40%. So we're being very gracious. We'll say it's only 10%. So is that 10% of your gross going to be the thing that breaks you? At what point do you say this is no longer profitable for you? Technically, you're still making money. But the question is, are you willing to pay these higher prices, continue to pay money to your maintenance account? I know Weekend Trucking talked about a way to maybe lessen the bleeding with how much these prices have increased to help you kind of get by, kind of a temporary situation. With still not sacrificing your maintenance account, don't do that. 100% of the maintenance account with fuel, with your maintenance. After that, at what point is it no longer worth it to you and profitable for you to continue on in this industry? I think all of us need to ask that question to find out, at a certain point, when I'm down to a certain percentage that you're bringing home after the fuel, after the maintenance, after these other things, that you are no longer willing to do this job. Everybody needs to think about that. But for me, if you don't know your percentages, you're just kind of shooting in the dark. That's a dangerous thing. We can make very rash decisions when we just don't know the information. So these are my numbers, roughly 10 to 15%, depending on kind of where you're looking at it, from February to March, dropping about 5% down. I hope in April to drop it down even more. Hopefully I'm closer to 35% with the higher pay rates that we're looking at. For single pull, it just means for me, I'm going to be a little bit more selective. Instead of the $1.89 pay rate, I'm going to shoot for $2.05 pay rate. I know there's lots of times where companies, they've got all these loads and they're just sitting in these lots and they get desperate. And the question is, it's not a matter of, being a team player or not, but it's a matter of they have campers to be delivered. We have the ability to do that. At what pain point did they say, here's more money on this certain load, this old or hot load? They put 5 more cents on, maybe 10 more cents on. And we say, you know what? I'm going to look for those and be intentional with where I go, only going maybe at least first, shooting for the higher pay rates, so that as a whole industry, as drivers, we're basically saying to the transport companies, but really ultimately the manufacturers, we're not going to do the same amount of work for a pay decrease. Because essentially that's what this is. We have to buy the fuel. We have to maintain our maintenance account, take care of our trucks. The cost of those things are a whole other issue. The cost of tires, oil, filters, all the stuff we got to do, that's seemingly going up as well. So for you in your business, operating your truck, operating on the road, taking home money, do you know your numbers? Do you know your percentages? Are you really trying to save as much as you possibly can, being diligent with the best fuel price, getting the most fuel at that time, and coordinating to make that happen? I know March, I did my absolute best and that was 39.5. I would like to get back to that 30% number. That's ultimately, I like 27.3, but if I can get back to last year's worst number, that would be fantastic percentage-wise. Seemingly right now, we're a little bit further than that. We're at least 10% away. Who knows what the manufacturers will do going forward, going into summertime? Will they become more desperate? Will drivers continue to maybe leave the industry because they say it's not profitable, because they maybe don't know their numbers, or maybe they do and they say, I'm willing to operate on this percentage take home, and if I don't get that, I'm going to go to something else until I can come back to this industry and things work out. So I know this is kind of a long video. Wanted to work through these percentages. I'm talking percentages, not actual numbers, because everybody's percentages roughly are probably the same, but maybe I don't drive as much as you do. So that's the reason why I'm simply talking percentages. Find your numbers, look at them, figure this stuff out, and work through it and ask the question, at what point is it no longer profitable for you to be in this industry? Set your standard, or whatever you want to say, whatever percentage that means, for how many miles you drive to be able to bring home the actual dollars that you need to pay your bills and to take care of your family. So hopefully this was a help to you. Hopefully this sparked some interest, some thought-provoking conversations in the comments. Let me know, did you look up your numbers? Are you still in the range where you're willing to do this job and you're actually profitable? And moving forward, keeping an eye on finding the absolute best price you can get, or the least worst price you can find, I guess, at this point. And we'll kind of keep an eye out on the pay increases, or I don't see it decreasing at this point anytime soon. But the pay, as well as the prices for fuel, and see how that turns out. So again, hopefully you have a great day today, guys. Stay safe and God bless.